Hello, hello. Hey, what's happening, Choose Life Nation? This is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and you are watching or listening to another episode of the Rebound Coach Live. I am so glad that you're here with me today. If this is our first time sharing virtual space, thanks so much for coming over here. I know that there are a whole lot of places you can spend your scroll, and I'm happy that you are here. And if it's your first time and you've never met me before, I'm Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach. And you might be like, what's a rebound coach? I've never heard of that. And I understand. I am a life coach, and life coaches help people get unstuck. I have the beautiful fortune of serving high achieving women of faith that live through betrayal, trauma, or abuse and want to reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. And so that all started from my own story. If you don't know me and we've never gotten to share space, I can just tell you that here's a headline, guys. I was married 10 years to a man who wanted me dead. And that's pretty scary. And it didn't make sense for someone like me. I had been raised in a good, godly home. I had two parents that loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime. And they were actually a good example of marriage and family. And so at the same time, I was molested from the time I was 8 to the time I was 16. And that really affects and changes how you see yourself. In a household of faith, it affects how you see God. And as a woman growing up, it reflected how I saw men. So if you can imagine, those are identity forming years, and things develop on who you are and who you think you're allowed to be are formed in those years. Fast forward when I met the man that I married and eventually divorced. There were definitely red flags. This was not a we never knew this was coming kind of thing. Well, some of it. So there were definitely red flags and reasons not to be together. But as a praying woman, I believed God's answer was yes. So because I believed God's answer was yes, I believed that whatever came, we'd overcome it. We'd outlast it. God would swoop in and save the day. And really he did, just not in the way that I had anticipated. We got into this cycle that I call coping and crisis. This is where it never gets too good. You're just in this coping dance. You're walking on eggshells. You're trying not to upset him. You're doing everything you can to make things go his way. And it never seems to work. He never seems to be satisfied. There's always something new that is wrong. And things just keep blowing up. So you go from this coping place to a crisis. Everything falls apart and it's all, in pieces on the floor, and you're having to put your life back together again. And it's back together is like this very careful house of cards that you're hoping no one sees is a house of cards that might blow over at any given moment. And it did blow over. We had the biggest crisis ever. End of 2019, beginning of 2020, he had left for another woman. And I found out him and that woman had been plotting my murder for months by the time I found out about it. Needless to say, like, your whole world stops. This is the record scratch moment in the movies. This is like, hold the phone. What in the world is going on? I couldn't believe that this was my life. And through a series of absolutely divine events, I'm alive. I'm here. And my kids are with me, and they're alive too. And we get to grow and learn together, unlearn and relearn, and recreate and re-become. I know that's not a word, but I just made it up. So, I could allow the identity that my ex-husband had planned for me, and quite frankly, the one I had agreed to, tell me who I was, tell me what I was allowed to be, tell me what I was allowed to become, or I could choose life. And so in the midst of that horrendous crisis, I wrote a book. I actually wrote, this is my second book, and it's called I Choose Life. Here it is. Rewrite your love story and change your legacy. And it's not just about my story as someone who survived 10 years of domestic violence and almost lost her life. It's not only that story, it's a story about how I learned to love and how I learned to be loved. And that's something that we learn way before we are ready for marriage. You can find this book at thereboundcoach.com/book. That is thereboundcoach.com/book. You can get one of these paper copies. I will sign it for you and write you a love note. Or you can get an ebook or get one from Amazon. All of that information is at thereboundcoach.com/book, and get your copy of I Choose Life. This is also really good if you love someone, if you care about someone who has gone through domestic violence, or somebody you think might be going through domestic violence. And that, yes, includes not just physical abuse, but mental abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, all of it. There's a roadmap here. There's ways, and it helps you as someone who cares for someone else to help understand why they might be staying, why they might be leaving, and how you can support them. Okay? So please pick that book up. We have important things to talk about today because y'all, okay, if you've been hanging out with me for a while, I invited you to an event, and that event was last weekend. It was called First Steps to Success. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. I always not just enjoy myself and have a good time, but I learn a lot, and I learn things that help me transform and help me become. And y'all, I was triggered. There was this, okay, I have to tell you this story. I promise I'm coming back around. So today's topic on the Rebound Coach Live is trauma, triggers, and triumph. Okay, because I was triggered. Oh my gosh. There was a session on marriage, and part of this community, one of the missions of this community is to help build strong marriages and strong families, which is a beautiful mission. And so they had this session on marriage, particularly resolving conflict, which is, again, that's another really good thing. Okay, so why was I nervous? Why was I afraid that they were going to say something that was going to upset me? And I just felt like I needed to protect myself somehow from that. And so I'm standing in the room, and the session hasn't started yet, and people are just chatting up with each other, being friendly. And I'm saying, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable, which is crazy because no one has said anything. No one said anything offensive. No one has said anything. The session hasn't started. This is just Dallas freaking out. Okay, so I'm saying, I don't know what they're gonna say. And so the folks in the conversation with me were two women. They're both married women, and they both know my story. So one of the ladies was like, well, men and women are different, and you don't want to have two right hands. You got to have a right and a left, and how they go together. And I couldn't take anymore. And it wasn't this sweet woman's fault at all. I was just like, oh no. And I said, oh, I can't. Right. And I just stepped away. There was three of us standing together talking, and I just physically removed my presence from the conversation. And I thought, I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm sorry, I'm not with that. All right. And I thought that they were going to continue their conversation, just the two of them. When someone leaves, they're going to just turn to each other and keep talking. But that's not what happened. They kept looking at me. They turned their bodies, because now I walked out of the little circle we were in, and I'm walking in a different direction, and they turn their bodies and just keep looking in silence. It was the longest silence ever. And I'm like, oh. So internally, I'm like, you guys are supposed to ignore me now. You're supposed to go back to each other. Why are you still looking at me? I don't know what to say. So I kept digging a hole for myself. What they say, you put your foot in your mouth and you're supposed to stop. But I was just chewing on them toes, man. I just had more to say. And I said, well, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that standpoint because I think it's complementarianism, which is really just patriarchy with a different name, and separate but equal is not a good mindset to have. It's not good in marriage. It's not good in race, and people have used that in racism. And like, oh my gosh, I went on a complete soapbox tangent. Okay. I was so embarrassed. But every time I tried to back out, like they wouldn't stop looking. So I didn't know what else to say. And I just anticipated that they were going like, oh, poor dear. Like she's been through so much. Clearly she's bitter. And I'm like, they didn't say those words. This is what I think they were thinking. And so I said, there's women who are in happy marriages that believe the same as I do, that are not complementarian or patriarchal in their view of marriage. And it's not just because of my experience, not just me. There's a whole movement of women who believe this way, and it's not just bitter women, right? I don't know that I convinced them. But I started apologizing. Oh gosh, I started apologizing because it's like, I didn't mean to upset you, or, I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. And I could, like, the more I talked, it felt like the worse it got. And then it was time to like, all right, we're going to go sit down and hear this lesson. And it was fine. The teaching was fine. It was fine. Clearly Dallas had an issue. So the next day, the ladies were like, no, don't be sorry. It's okay. I prayed for you. Gosh, oh my gosh. Not the I prayed for you line. Like, that's how you know, like, she's got a couple, something's going on there. I'm going to pray for her. Like, oh, jeez. And I kept trying to say, like, it's not about bitterness or somebody who's gone through what I went through. Lots of women believe this way. Oh gosh. But a couple things in the way that I responded. So that was definitely a trigger moment. And so today we're talking about trauma, triggers, and triumph, and talking about how to overcome trauma, what to do when you are triggered, right? So using my fumble as an example, and it's okay. Everything happens for a reason, right? So here we are. We get to talk about this together. Okay. So what I did really, and what I do in situations where I anticipate being triggered, is paying attention. So I know, like, okay, I know that there's going to be things that probably make me upset. I need to know why, right? Not just like, oh, I'm upset and I'm going to huff away now, but like I totally tried. But why? What is it that is upsetting me, and why is it upsetting me? So I leaned in, and any of those kinds of lessons, lessons on marriage or situations where I find myself in where I feel like this might be a problem. Leaning in and really understanding yourself is the key, is the first really big key. So in my analysis, okay, since it's only been a couple of days, but I've definitely been like thinking through it. I think I was embarrassed because I didn't want those women to look down on me. And I think that's what happened, even as I was trying to like shovel myself out of the hole I made. But I didn't want to look like I was bitter, and I didn't want them to judge me. And I have to say it's because I used to be on the judging side, right? I used to look at people with my disposition. Now I'm not talking about my experience, my disposition. So, I'm currently an egalitarian where it comes to marriage. And that's meaning two equal partners, not separate but equal, not like hierarchy where one has authority over the other, like equal partners of equal value. And they don't have to have just one job, right? Like I don't believe that men have to only be that authoritarian figure, and that women are a submissive figure. That's not what I believe. And anyway, that's where I'm at. So I used to look at folks who believed that way as they were against what the Bible said, or at least what I thought the Bible was saying. They were against marriage and traditional values, and marriage and traditional values are the pillar of the whole society, and that's what makes everything go well. And if only everyone would ascribe to traditional values, everything would be great. Okay, that was an incorrect judgment, but I was on that side, right? And so when I look at other people who are on that side now, I automatically feel threatened. I feel like they're judging me, they're watching me, they're going to be, talking about me later, something. Okay. So I didn't want to look like I was bitter because I didn't agree with what was being said, but I also could not agree with what was being said. So I put myself in a little situation there, right? And I had kind of squared up. When I say squared up, like prepared to fight, I had kind of squared up because I felt like I needed to defend myself against an idea. And the truth is, nobody makes you do anything, right? Like, people can have any opinion they want. It doesn't make me do one thing or the other. I get to make my own decisions. So allowing people to believe how they believe and understanding that it doesn't force you to do anything is a freeing idea. But of course, in that moment, I was totally in my feelings. So how do you triumph over trauma? So clearly I've got trauma. I told you my story at the top of the episode. There's definitely reasons why I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want to go back to that traditional gender role idea, that traditional husband and wife role. That's what I would say. Traditional husband and wife role idea, because that was one of the many things that was used to abuse me, right? The man's the head of the home, the head of the house. So he gets to have as many women as he wants. And he, doesn't have to work if he doesn't want to. And what he says goes, even if what he says is dangerous, right? So those ideas were used against me. And I have really good reason to not believe that way anymore, right? So what to do when you're triggered? Okay, what to do? Number one, there's 3 points to this. Okay, so what do you do when you're triggered? Even though I felt like I needed to defend myself against that training, I didn't have to, because it can't hurt me. It's just, they are thoughts, they are ideas. It can't hurt me. And so I didn't need to defend against it. But it is important to understand where you stand on a particular issue and why you stand there. So what to do when you are triggered? How do you deal with trauma? Okay. Number one, instead of shrinking back, lean in. Now, that doesn't always mean lean in the moment. Clearly, I was making a mess for myself, but I sat in that evening and the following days, and I'm still processing through. So leaning into things that trigger you, leaning into things that offend you, which is another word for trigger. Lean in when suddenly, like, hey, I'm upset with this. I don't like this. I don't like this. It's easier to avoid triggers. And there is a season for that, I believe, especially for women who've survived domestic violence. There's a season for, like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to take a break, right? So there's definitely a season for taking a break and not being surrounded by triggers and avoiding triggers. However, there's also a season for leaning in. When it's time to heal, we can't heal without dealing. We can't heal without dealing. Like, we'll have to enter the fray at some point. So lean in. Where is this coming from? And there's a principle about 7 generations of why. So asking yourself why 7 times gets to the bottom of the thing. So, this is upsetting me. Why? Because I don't like what she said. Why? Because she said men and women are different, or she said husbands and wives have to have particular roles. Why? Keep going down, keep going down, keep going down until you find the heart issue. And also, you want to determine whether or not this is a problem or this is your problem, right? A lot of times when we have problems with something, we determine that it's a problem. It's the problem. It's what's going on, and they are the problem, or it is a problem, but it might just be your problem. That doesn't mean it's not something to deal with. It doesn't mean it's not a real issue. It can just mean that no one else is wigging out and you might be, right? So there's a reason to figure out, okay, is this a problem? Is it the problem, or is it just my problem? Right? So lean in. Where's this coming from? Number 2, what to do when you're triggered. Decide. So number 1 is lean in. Number 2 is decide. Is this a hill to die on? Is this a hill to die on? Okay. And really you want to know, is this belief, idea, concepts, issue, is this something that aligns with the vision I have for my life? Okay. If I look forward and say, if I look at the woman I want to be, is this idea in line with that woman or not in line, right? That tells me if this is something I need, a belief I need to maintain, or a belief I need to examine and potentially release, right? You're telling me you're letting people change you? I get to change me. No one else can change me, right? But the kind of low-hanging fruit, the easier thing to do is just to be like, nope, I'm right in all circumstances. I never had to change anything because I already know it all, and everybody else is wrong, and I am righteously indignant. The for real is, no, none of us know everything. None of us know everything. All of us know a little bit. Nobody knows everything. And it's quite possible that the woman you want to be and this belief may not be in agreement. So what I took to God is like, okay, so if I'm really upset at these traditional husband and wife roles and the way that they're taught, and I have an intellectual understanding as to why I'd be upset, but let's talk about the heart. Let's talk about my heart concerning this issue. Let's talk about how I want my heart to be concerning this. How I want to be able to allow people to have any beliefs that they have and it not rile me up, because they get to believe what they get to believe, just like I do. Right? So that's the woman I want to be. How come I was like not that woman a couple days back? Right? So lean in, number 1. Number 2, decide, is this a hill for me to die on? Is this idea something that I'm not willing to budge on? And that might be the case too, but it's important to know why. It's important to have basis for the beliefs that we have and the beliefs we choose to hold. What is it? And is this the woman I want to be? What's my real issue with these roles? And not outside of my experience, right? Outside of the twists that my ex-husband made to those ideas and those scriptures to harm me, and how many, not all, many husbands do the same. Do I have just this intellectual problem with the idea? Do I have a heart problem with the idea? And if so, what's my heart problem? And what am I going to do about it? Is this something I want to keep or not? So deciding. And number 3, rewriting your story. Rewriting your story. What is your truth? What's the truth that you want to have? And so something that I am continuing to walk through since my experience with 10 years of abuse from a man and religious abuse. I put a reel up a while back and people are like, it was about spiritual abuse and people didn't even understand the concept. And they're commenting, how can somebody spiritually harm you? The same way they can harm you in other ways, right? The issue of power and control. Power and control is the dynamic that identifies what abuse is, that helps you know, was this person just having a bad day, or is there a dynamic, like a consistent thing of power and control where someone's trying to exert power and control over you using a whole bunch of different means. In this case, in spiritual abuse, it's religious abuse. It's about using a woman's faith in God, a man using a woman's faith in God to exert power and control over her. Okay. So if I'm thinking about, all right, who's the woman I want to be? About this, who's the woman I want to be? And what are the steps I can take to rewrite my story? So you look forward, all right, there's the target. How do I get there? Right now, that's more than I can get into tonight. However, I have some invitations for you. We're doing a couple amazing things. If you are in the Tampa Bay area, number one, we're having an event coming up on Saturday, February 10th. It's called A Day of Healing Safe Emotions. And it's literally a space where we get to express our emotions, the stuff that we don't get to talk about, we don't get to sit in, we don't get to think through because we're so busy. We have to get on to the next thing all the time. And you never really get to process grief or rage or fear or anxiety or depression or any of the things that haunt us at night, loneliness, just all sorts of things that come through. And we're not able to even take a second and acknowledge. We just have to keep going. And so a day of healing safe emotions is a day to stop and deal. You know, we don't get through until we deal. We don't move on. We can call ourselves moving on, but it just moves on right with us. So we have to deal. There's no other way. And a day of healing safe emotions is a local way to get that done. If you would like to join us at a day of healing safe emotions, I am looking for the thing to show you. You can see information for that at thereboundcoach.com/events. thereboundcoach.com/events. All of the events are there. You can click through from there and get your ticket to a day of healing safe emotions. Okay, so that's one. Starting February 15th is when we kick off. I am walking a small group of ladies through a 90-day virtual group coaching experience. That was really long, but a group coaching experience that's a 3-month program called Reclaim. It's literally about reclaiming territory in your relationship with yourself. We lose pieces of us as we go through different experiences. And just like I was saying earlier, when we're so busy, we can barely breathe and we can't deal with the things that are happening to us. We lose ground. We lose joy. We lose confidence. We lose pieces of identity. And it doesn't come back by accident. Like, we have to intentionally go and deal with our stuff. And so we're doing a 3-month program called Reclaim, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it in this video. I just wanted to give you a heads up about something that's coming up, because I do not want you to later on come to me and say, excuse me, why didn't you tell me about this? So I don't know if it's for you or not, and whatever you do with this information is totally up to you, but I just wanted to make sure you were invited. So look, I'm sure everything in your life is great. You've survived some trauma. You must be doing really well, and you don't have any communication problems, and your relationships are going really smoothly, and probably, you know, everything's amazing. You're just climbing and doing well for your dreams. But that's certainly not the case for a lot of women. Many women who have survived betrayal, trauma, or abuse are really struggling, and they might be surviving. They're going to work every day. They're taking care of kids every day, but in their heart, you know, they're limited, and they're not really able to move forward the way they want to. They're not able to build the confidence they want. They're not able to speak with authority that they know that they have. And so you might know of a few people who are looking to improve their relationship with themselves, to gain more confidence, to feel strong in their skin, to receive love in a better way, to have a lot more fun in their days. like Cheryl. Cheryl coached with the Rebound Coach, and before doing that, she had trouble making boundaries. She had a house guest that would not leave, and she couldn't make her leave, and was miserable at work, and not doing so well in her communication with her husband. After coaching with me, the house guest is gone. She's no longer miserable in her work. She's doing things that matter to her. She's standing in her authority and in her calling as an author, which is pretty amazing. And so she coached with me one-on-one, but I am opening a group coaching experience called Reclaim. And it is all about reclaiming territory in your relationship with yourself. If you've been through betrayal, trauma, or abuse and want to be whole and continue to be whole, you may have done some work before, you may have hit a plateau and just like, why isn't this getting any better? This is the time for you. I want to give you a first shot because we only have 10 spots, and we don't have 10 spots anymore. So so I want to give you an opportunity to sign up. Okay, there's a whole group of us that are going to walk in bigger freedom. We're going to be able to set boundaries where we need to set boundaries, and we're going to get more fruitfulness out of the relationships that matter to us. All right, so maybe that's you, and maybe it's someone you know, and maybe it's not you at all. But just in case you'd like to make those improvements in your life in 2024, your next step is going to thereboundcoach.com and signing up for Reclaim, the 90-day group coaching experience. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to chat with you. Talk to you later. Bye. Yes, so you can find out more about Reclaim at thereboundcoach.com/rebound. That is thereboundcoach.com/rebound. Okay, so I know this is a lot. We talked about a day of healing, and now we're talking about Reclaim. And I got one more thing for you. So if you've been hanging out with us for a while, you know my best friend and I, Coach MK, put on a 3-day VIP healing retreat for women called Sanctuary Experience, and it's coming up really soon. So I'm going to tell you about that too, and give you an opportunity to check that out.
Hello, my name is Malikia K. Courtney, and this is
Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach.
Woohoo! I'm the founder of Sanctuary Experience, and this weekend we have just had the most amazing time between sisterhood, fun, renewal, and healing. We've got a wonderful group of women here with us this weekend, and next time it will be your turn to come and enjoy with us. If you know that you're experiencing stress that is just over your head and overwhelming, if you know that you've got some trauma and pains that are chasing you and you have yet to create your tribe, you don't have that go-to space to unpack your stuff, Sanctuary Experience is for you. Dallas.
So Sanctuary Experience was created for the woman on the go. You're busy, you have tons of responsibilities, the schedule is encroaching and weighing you down. If you are overburdened by your own life choices, this space is for you. If there is no safe place to tell the whole truth, this space is for you. Make no excuses. We're not getting the days back. If you want peace, if you want joy, if you want fulfillment, if you want the success that somehow, some way you can't seem to reach, your next step is going to thereboundcoach.com and signing up for the next Sanctuary Experience. I will see you there.
No excuses.
Okay, so you can find out more about Sanctuary Experience at thereboundcoach.com/sanctuary. That's a lot, but this is an exciting time of year. This is an exciting time of year. This is the beginning of the calendar year where lots of folks decide that they're going to do something to make a change in their life. And if that is you, I've just given you 3 opportunities to say yes to yourself. To say yes. You don't have to do this alone. People give up on their resolutions because it's hard. Change is hard. But you know what's harder? Regret. And you don't have to regret another year of not doing anything. Here are opportunities to come in person. Come one day, join with me virtually for 3 months, or come for 3 days of high intensity VIP healing. There's an opportunity for you. There's an opportunity for you. And I am so thrilled that you shared this time with me today. I'd love to know in the comments what stood out to you. What are you going to do when the next time you're triggered? What are the steps that are standing out for you that you're going to take action on? And also, please share this video with someone that you think that you thought of while you watched and you listened. You're like, oh my gosh, so-and-so needs to hear this. Share this with them. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, subscribe to my channel and share this video with someone who could use life. Thank you again for joining me. I'm so thankful for you. And until next time, choose life.